Hey, what's up everyone? We're going to discuss a mistake with the latest major order, talk about Arrowhead team's response to the movie, show you before and after the patch, we'll discuss a planetary modifier, and cover much more. If you want to support the channel, consider liking the video by tapping the thumbs up button, subscribing, and turning on notifications so you don't miss out on the daily news. Alright Helldivers, we've made a big mistake with the latest major order. To be fair, not all of us were a part of this, but a significant number decided it was a good idea to not stay at Heath, which made the defense campaign much more difficult than it needed to be. The funny thing is, we actually received a dispatch that told us what to do. For instance, towards the bottom it says this right here. Strategic advisory. All Helldivers should factor the following advisory into their strategic decision making. Enemy forces stage their attacks on planets from an originating planet. Liberating the originating planet ends the enemy attack immediately. In the current operational context, liberating Heath would end the current Terminid attack upon both Sirius and Angel's venture. Now, as you can see, High Command literally explained the Gambit strategy, yet some Helldivers took it upon themselves either to not read it, or if the majority did, they didn't acknowledge it. There's an old expression that comes to mind: you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And I suppose that saying applies here. We were given an opportunity, and for whatever reason, we decided to ignore it. We could have stopped these two defense campaigns by just liberating this one planet here. Maybe the dispatch isn't that useful after all for a majority of you out there. So I actually have a great idea that just might work. I quickly photoshopped this up today. What you can see here is that we keep the dispatch up, but there's an icon on the map that reveals the planet we must go to with a warning icon. And there's a red text to highlight the importance of this planet specifically. What can make this even more useful is to also display the strategic advisory on the map, detailing why it's important to go to this planet. If that doesn't help, then honestly, I don't know what would. Should the developers add an additional reward for completion, extra medals, or maybe super credits? I'm just trying to think of ways to guide lost Helldivers to the right destination. If you have any suggestions, feel free to post them below. As of right now, this is my best suggestion. Anyway, by ignoring Heath, we've given the Terminids an opportunity. The bugs can now expand their territory exponentially considering they've got Heath and Sirius. We should be able to take over Angel's venture since we're very close to successfully defending it. Now, it's possible that if the Terminids continue to expand, they very well could reach Super Earth. We had a similar situation before. Instead of the bugs, the automatons were close enough, but we quickly stopped that from happening. Overall, it's best to be careful and not repeat the same mistakes we've made recently. The community manager Baskoneer spoke to a Helldiver about the defense campaign, and she said, "We're always trying to think of new ways to help divers organize and fight more effectively. Like, that's an ongoing thing, although I guess we'll always have players who go where they want no matter what." Again, I think my suggestion about leaving an icon on there, a big old warning icon, and potentially giving us more rewards, would probably incline players to go to that specific planet. In this case, it would be Heath. On a similar note, the team has been discussing featuring John Helldiver in a major order potentially. The whole conversation came about 4 days ago when a Helldiver asked when the next major order would be. In response, the community manager Baskoneer replied to that member, basically stating that perhaps there will be one, that Joel works in mysterious ways, and that another Helldiver saw that reply and expressed a desire for more of Craig Lee Thompson, aka John Helldiver. Baskoneer wrote back and said, "Our team has been chatting with him about trying to do more stuff together. We need our John Helldiver." Now that's awesome. We could potentially see more of John Helldiver in a major order, or perhaps in a commercial on the Super Destroyer. Whatever the plan is, I'll be happy with it either way. Also, another community manager, Mitchimus, wrote to a player that he would like to see Craig Lee Thompson in an upcoming Helldivers movie. In this response here, Mitchimus wrote, "I'd say we will be involved to some extent, but it is all above my pay grade. My only request is Craig Lee Thompson for casting." I don't know about you all, but I think I would be surprised if we didn't see Craig in the movie. He definitely has earned the opportunity to be in it. He's done a great job with voice acting in Helldivers 2, and recently announced the Illuminate patch at the Game Awards. Honestly though, it's all up to Sony Pictures on who will be featured in the movie and what they do. Unfortunately, Arrowhead doesn't have the final say. With the major order aside, we've received a brand new patch. If you're on PlayStation, the patch size is only 636 megabytes. However, on Steam, it's quite different. I saw a post on Reddit where the patch was actually 22 gigabytes. Nonetheless, the developers have updated Helldivers 2, and the developers have patched the jittery aim down sight bug. Here's a preview of what it looked like before the update. When aiming down your sights, it would become jittery, but this only occurred when you had a bunch of enemies in front of you. After the patch, you can now aim down your sights and you'll notice it's not jittery anymore. The other bug fix was with the newest Wasp launcher stratagem. I wasn't aware of this one, otherwise I would show you what it looked like before. Anyway, the developers have patched an issue where if you were to pick up your teammate's Wasp launcher, it wouldn't aim correctly. This has since been corrected with the latest patch. Continuing along with the patch notes, the developers also fixed 2 crash and softlock issues. One where if an Illuminate ship were to despawn, it would force your game to crash, and the other crash was related to quitting the game. With that pretty much sums up the patch. Also, as a side note, if you're wondering, I've got no idea why the patch is so large on Steam. I truly don't. Speaking of Steam, the Helldivers 2 Steam DB files have been updated once more, and I believe we're going to see audio improvements for certain enemy types. I'll discuss more of that soon, but for now you can see there's a new branch called Audio Testing Branch. This branch was added this morning as of making this video. It was added 30 minutes ago. Now the question is, what are the developers doing with the audio? I suspect they're either fixing issues surrounding the Dolby audio bug on PlayStation 5, or they're going to improve the audio for most of the enemy types. A great example would be the Chainsaw Devastators, because they currently don't have any sounds when they're revving up their chainsaws. Who knows, maybe they're looking at everything when it comes down to audio. In the past, for those that don't know, the developers adjusted the sound for bugs and bots. This was specifically mentioned in patch 1.001.103, as you can see in this post here that I've highlighted. All in all, I wouldn't doubt it if the next upcoming patch improves the audio for just about everything. I thought this was worth bringing up, and I'll let you know more down the road if the developers have indeed updated the audio. Now let's talk a little more about Steam. The next discussion is probably not noteworthy for those on PlayStation. Nevertheless, the community manager Baskoneer has been trying to push for Helldivers 2 items on the Steam shop. What we can tell right here is a Helldiver asked if we'll ever get to see Helldiver stuff on the Steam Point shop. Baskoneer essentially told that player that she asked for it, but there hasn't been any movement, and it's something she would like to see. I know for sure I would rock a John Helldiver profile picture or an animated background for my Steam profile. This I feel is somewhat of a miss for most games. It gives players the opportunity to display their favorite game and possibly bring more players to that game. I'm certainly going to keep an eye out for this in hopes that they do add shop items to Steam. What we have next to talk about is a Planetary modifier. A couple of months ago, a developer answered a question in a community update, which, by the way, we haven't seen a new community update in ages. Anyway, the developer talked about how he's working on a Planetary modifier that will introduce new lethal variants of some of the existing bug spawns. We talked about this on the channel before in a different video, yet for those that are new to the game and haven't seen it, the proof is right here, and the team wrote, "Can you tell us anything about what you're working on right now? I'm currently working on a Planetary modifier that will see new lethal variants of some of our existing bug spawn." The question I'm sure most of you are asking now is, what happened to the new Planetary modifier? The answer to that, I believe, is that the Gloom storyline was supposed to continue forward. Unfortunately, the Escalation Freedom update dropped about 5 days later after this post was made, and that obviously wasn't well received due to the fact there was a bunch of nerfs, and the update wasn't too exciting. This then led the developers to introduce this 60-day patch, or more so, the 60-day plan, where they later reverted most of the changes and introduced a bunch of buffs that were well received by the player base. I believe this is what stopped them from introducing the new Planetary modifier. Recently, we know the Gloom storyline has finally started up again, and I feel like soon we're going to see the new enemies and the modifiers. There was a leak a while ago that I won't reveal, but it was basically about a new bug variant. We'll find out soon enough what's underneath the Gloom and if the Gloom is a part of the Planetary modifier. If you have any thoughts about this, then let me know in the comments below, because I'm pretty sure we didn't receive any new Planetary modifier recently or even after the 60-day plan, but feel free to talk about it down below in the comments. Moving along, if you own a PS5, then guess what? There was a small upgrade for PS5 Pro users. Right here, Baskoneer wrote, "We released a small upgrade for PS5 Pro users that changed performance mode from 1080p to 1440p, and quality mode is now native 4K. The question you're probably wondering, was that included in the recent patch? No, absolutely not. She continued on to say this, "We didn't do it separately, like there was no PS5 Pro only update. These changes were added in with one of our major updates." There you go. If you didn't know about this, that's what they did recently with the PS5. I wasn't aware of it, and I own a PS5, which is odd. You would think or imagine I would know something, right? I didn't know, so that's interesting. Okay, usually I go over your suggested loadouts from the comments, but I'm going to post those every other day. So the reason why, because I just feel like it's better to do it. If you want to be featured on the channel and receive a shout out, all you have to do is comment down below. Also, don't worry, I'm still looking at the comments from before, so if you've already posted one there, don't worry, you're still entered in, and I'm going to take a look at all of them. There was a question I asked yesterday about what's your go-to stratagems, and a lot of you commented under my post, and I'm going to show them all here right now. What I saw mostly was Eagle airstrikes, strafing runs, 500 kg bombs, orbital lasers, quasar cannon, recoilless rifle, machine gun sentries, guard dog, orbital napalm barrage, and just a bunch of stratagems like those. Those are the ones I mostly saw, and man, you guys commented a lot, so thank you for that. Last but not least, this is your Helldivers 2 news. We're now going to go over the top 3 comments. All you have to do is comment down below, and you just might be featured. The first top comment is from the Inventor 121, and you said, "To the person who asked about 50 battle tines on the map, the answer is yes. It used to happen on Suicide and up in the days when Chargers were absolutely invincible." No kidding, that's a blast from the past, essentially. I remember that, and it was pretty crazy, but it was kind of fun. But at the same time, it was very difficult to complete a mission. The second top comment is by Grub, and you said, "Engine limits, how much is happening on the map? Meanwhile, old evac mission spawning 2,000 bots to stop us from saving 30 people. Yeah, no kidding, that actually made me chuckle a little bit. Definitely recall that as well. And last but not least, we have Oliver. "I'd like to have a codex in the ship, a description of all enemies and planetary effects. This would greatly help new players and would add some lore." Why not, right? They absolutely should do that. I believe that was a feature in Helldivers 1, if I'm not mistaken. You could actually check out all of the enemy types. That is something we need. Those right there are the top 3 comments. Thank you guys for commenting down below, talking about everything. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them down below. I will try to answer them. I've done my best so far, but I'm going to continue trying. But yeah, thank you guys so much. If you can, give this video a like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next one.